becoming increasingly impossible to ignore the rise in crime in this country. And I often see people make the arguments that, oh, you just weren't paying attention, things were always this way. Or because of social media and cell phones, now we just see what has always been happening. And I get it. Social media, the fact that we're all walking around with a camera, it makes us more aware of what's going on, right? It highlights a lot of stories. We see a lot of things that we wouldn't have seen without social media and cell phones. So I at least somewhat understand that argument, but I would argue that things were not always this bad. I think statistics will show that things have gotten worse, and we know that we're not even getting the real numbers because they hide the real numbers of these crimes, especially when they have to do with certain demographics in certain areas of our country. But back in the day, even the scummiest of scumbags would operate by some code of ethics. Like there used to be honor amongst thieves. Isn't that the same? I mean, even mobsters and gangs back in the day, not all, but some, would have the rule, no women and children. But these days, it seems like women and kids are the main targets. But hey, what do I know? But you know that things are getting bad in America when you see stories like the one we're about to talk about right now. Because, you see, in today's day and age, there's no code of ethics, there's no honor amongst thieves. People are automatically just taking things to the extreme. And apparently, over the last few weeks, over the last couple of months, people have now resorted to targeting Amish people. I kid you not, they're starting to rob Amish buggies. It literally feels like something out of the Wild West. But masked, armed individuals are targeting the Amish community, and they're starting to pull up on the buggies and rob these people at gunpoint. It's becoming a bigger problem in Pennsylvania, and I don't see many people talking about it. And like I said, if you need any other indicator to show you how bad things are, this is where we're at. Like, sure, maybe you could say there's always been crime in New York City. Yeah, there's always been, crime in certain areas. And there's just always been crime in general, but it's different now. It's worse. And I'm just saying, I don't remember many stories of people literally committing armed robberies against buggies. And at least right now, I don't think these people have been caught yet. And here's the thing, folks. The Amish community, they don't really want to talk to police. They don't want to talk to the media. So the evil people out there have, I guess, realized that. They see there's a weakness there. It's almost like they're a shark that senses blood in the water because they realize, hey, we can get away with crimes committed against the Amish easier than regular people because the Amish do not cooperate with police and they don't talk to the media. And I'm laughing because of just how just freaking crazy this is. But this is something that is happening. It's something that had to get exposed by a woman who isn't Amish, but happens to have some Amish friends. Because the Amish didn't want to talk to the media themselves. And they're scared right now because it appears that they're being targeted. Sometimes they send their little buggies into town to run errands, to sell some food, to do whatever Amish things they want to do. And, these people also know that the Amish probably don't really, they're not riding around with using Cash App and Zelle and stuff like that. Speaking of, people often ask, how can they support the channel? The answer to that question is very simple. You can support the channel for totally free. It's easy. Just hit the like button, drop a comment below. share an opinion, become part of the conversation, subscribe if you haven't already. But if you want to take your support one step further, you could always send a super thanks or send a cash app. Now, as I was saying, these criminals realize that the Amish aren't out here using Apple Pay or Pay to Tap. Most of them don't got credit cards or anything like that. So, when they come into town, they usually have cash if they sell something or if they're going to buy something. So that's another reason why these criminals are targeting them. And it's just so despicable. But like I said, this is where we're at. What I want to do, though, is I want to go ahead and roll this news clip. Let's hear a little bit more about what's going on, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
Members of the Amish community around New Wilmington are concerned tonight that someone may be targeting them. The Pennsylvania State Police are reporting that an Amish driving a buggy was robbed at gunpoint while another Amish got away. Tonight, the story of a woman who's working to raise awareness.
And then I had people contact me and say, hey, I'm a driver.
Susan Hogelman runs Simple Life Amish Tours in New Wilmington. She first heard of the armed robberies of Amish buggies from her Amish friends.
Last Thursday evening, there was an armed robbery. A vehicle stopped an Amish buggy, pulled in front of him, pulled him over, and by gunpoint, he robbed an Amish man, took his wallet.
The sound of hooves hitting the road and the sights of Amish buggies are common in New Wilmington. Hogelman says what they believe to be the same vehicle, a small black car, also tried stopping another buggy, but that buggy got away. Police described the suspect as a white male with dark clothes and a medical mask. Hogelman believes the buggies were targeted.
There's no one else going to be driving an Amish buggy but an Amish person, so I think they were targeting the Amish.
Hogelman said some within the Amish community are concerned, the women more than the men. She also asked permission to do this interview.
And they felt it was a good thing for me to make the public aware that we are being vigilant.
To help her Amish friends, Hogelman started a social media campaign with the slogan, I stand with our Amish community. She says it's gone viral.
I wanted the Amish community to know that we do support them and we are going to be out there. And I think primarily people in the United States know the Amish are such a peace-loving, kind group of people, and they definitely want to support and help the Amish.
Susan Hogelman also wants people to be alert that if they're driving around New Wilmington in the area, if they see something suspicious, to call police.
I started this video by saying that it's becoming increasingly impossible to ignore the rise in violent crimes in this country. And what better story to, basically serve as an example of what I just said. This is the perfect story. Because you see, even the Amish, they don't have a TV. They don't have a radio. They don't really interact with the outside world at all. They have basically excommunicated themselves from certain portions of society. They don't really interact with the outside world. None of that. They have closed themselves off to the point that they are still living life like it's the freaking 1700s. And even their entire livelihoods are about, basically separating themselves from everything that's going on in modern day society, right? But even they, closed off from the outside world as they are, they can't ignore the rise in violent crime in America. They can't. Because even the Amish, these people have the most limited exposure to the wickedness of modern day society. They have the most limited exposure to all of these crazy people running amok through our society, but even they can't ignore it. Because now even they have become a target. And don't get me wrong, doing these type of things, it's wrong, obviously, it's evil. But it's almost even more evil to do it against the Amish. Because I can't think of a group of people who just don't bother anybody. They don't bother anyone. You see that buggy rolling through town, they got it closed off. They don't even want to see what's going on around them because of how bad things have gotten. And they got to deal with this. And let me tell you, folks, if the Amish has to deal with it, you got to deal with it. Because if we've gotten to the point that this is happening to the Amish, what do you think can and maybe will happen to you? So I am constantly hoping and praying and trying to stay optimistic that we can somehow address a lot of these problems in our society. But I don't have the power to bring about change myself. And I don't necessarily have the answer to every solution, even if I had the ability to provide the solution or the platform to do so. But what I can do is highlight some of what is going on, so at the very least, people can be aware. Because that's the first step, is making people more aware. Because what modern day society is trying to do, the Amish doesn't have to deal with this. What modern day society is trying to do is they're just trying to give you more distractions, more things to numb you down. Hey, ignore the fact that they're robbing the Amish now. What about the new Nintendo Switch 2? What about this new thing and that new thing? But at some point, we got to just put down all of these distractions, and we have to address these problems in our society so we can live in a safer place. But for now, let me know your thoughts about this, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.